Welcome to the Adrian Pius show. And it's been a long time, listeners. It's been a long time. And some of you may ask, where has Adrian Pius been? What's going on with Adrian Pius? Has Adrian Pius given up the fight? And I'm here to tell you that I have not given up the fight. I have not given up 1 inch to the Imperial Truthers. I'm back, and I'm here for you, dear listeners. Now, rumors have been circulating that the reason for my absence has been that I got myself locked in one of my very own Adrian Pius never-fail bunkers. And I'm here to tell you that those claims are preposterous. Outrageous, ridiculous. The truth is, I was simply doing some quality testing, and I found that the bunker is just so comfortable and affordable that I simply couldn't leave for several weeks, which I was absolutely prepared and supplied for, thanks to the wonderful resources provided by Adrian Pius's very own Never Fail Bunkers. So we have a lot to talk about today, because we have had a big election on Quorum Perry 5. And as is to be expected in a democracy, the people have elected a mentally unfit buffoon who can't even speak in full sentences. Now, it may seem like I am hard anti-Greg, but I'm not endorsing anyone. But this election demonstrated in my mind why ruthless, merciless dictatorship is preferable to all this democratic dithering around, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's go over how things work on this Voxcast. Pat, as per usual, is monitoring the Vox feed for your calls and commentary, and if you want to be taken live on the air, we just ask for a small donation to help us keep the lights on here in the studio. And we'll let you speak your mind, and, I'll hit your mute button on your mic if I disagree with you, and you're far too articulate for me to challenge outright. All right, so let's get started on this election nonsense. We've talked a little bit about Governor Greg, and I talked about him before. It's the obvious problem. I mean, he's an Ogren. When you vote for Greg, you're not voting for an adorable, simple-minded Ogren who's trying his best. You are electing a face. Greg doesn't run anything. It's all about the people behind Greg who are making all of the decisions and making policy. Greg is basically a cover for the people behind him who are running things however way they want to run it. However way they want to run it. And, you don't know what you're getting when you vote for Greg. What exactly does Greg mean? Well, Greg means an adorable Ogren who has an affinity for pickles. And I'm not going to deny that something that simple has had a hand in the increased pickle production of the planet. But you still don't know what else. What are you actually getting? Do you even know what he's doing? Who's in his cabinet? Now, I can't say that I'm surprised about this. This is the first Democratic election on Corumpere 5, and no one knows what they're doing or how they should vote. Greg won in a landslide, and I'm just not surprised. All right, we have Miles O'Halloran on the line, first caller. All right, Pat, send him right through. Hey, Adrian, I heard that there were a bunch of orcs who tried to vote for Greg, and I wondered what's happened to them. Now, you all know me. I'm one of the first ones to call out Xenos interference in Imperial matters. And I want to thank Miles for pointing that out here. that there's rumors that of orcish involvement, that there's some sort of orc tribe, maybe in the depths of the Under-hive, or there's some sort of Xenos meddling. And I want to say that what did happen to them. What is Greg doing about them? What are his underlings? What are his shadow government, the people who are really pulling the strings? What are they doing about it? Are they trying to use the orcs as political capital? Just keep this threat around, and then you always need Governor Greg to take care of things with an adorable little smile and a little quip. So I want to thank Miles for pointing that out, that there are a lot of problems in Quorum Perry 5 that I am not going to trust to Greg and his mystery band of government officials. All right, so as we talked about Greg, he won in a landslide, and I think the reason he won the way he did was because the field of candidates was awful this year. This was a truly terribly run campaign, and honestly, I think if I am not able to vote. I'm not a citizen of Quorum Perry 5, but I think I as an imperial citizen, I should be able to comment on the different ways our planets are governed. So I didn't. But if I were to vote, I think I would have held my nose and voted for Musalis. Now, I'm not a Musalis fan. I think Musalis spent a lot of money and wasted a lot of it trying to run a smear campaign against a candidate look, the key to Governor Greg's success was low expectations. He's an ogre. All he has to do is like have a little bit of charisma, have something, and you'll sort of dismiss that he has nothing going on upstairs. And Musalis, when you go for a smear campaign, you set your opponent up as a legitimate threat. Also, Musalis is just a scummy politician. But, he would have been someone who has experience, who knows how to run things, who's not just handing things over to a bureaucracy, or in the case of the Many Arms Party, that was a surprise. Nota T. Ranid, that was a big surprise. That came out of nowhere. That a populist candidate, a candidate that fills the menials with ideas above their station, that they kind of came out of nowhere. Let me take a look. I think it's Greg ended up with about 67% of the vote, and that is a pretty darn comfortable win for Governor Greg. And I'm not surprised. He was installed as governor. He and his cabal control the wheels of power, so I'm not surprised that he held on. But for Musalis, a seasoned political entity, the Ordinate was a seasoned political entity, ended up running just such a terrible campaign and got 6% of the vote. That was a shocking thing for me. And in some ways not too shocking. We're kind of in a state where everyone wants new things without necessarily looking at why it's new or why it's good or any kind of nonsense like that. But what worries me the most, what's probably worse than Governor Greg, is the Many Arms Party. First of all, they want to change the art of the Emperor and add more arms. But Pat's got a phone call coming in. We got him on the phones. We got the Vox coming in. I'm going to get on to the Many Arms Party shortly, but we have Lorenzo on the line. Looks like he's promising not to derail things. That's what Pat says. So let's go ahead, Lorenzo. Share your thoughts. I don't mind getting a little derailed if that's what you want, because I'm here for you the people. Hey, Adrian, not to derail things, but what's the deal with the Tau rail? And is that what our tax dollars are going towards? Tanks that can't stand up to the Xenos? And I think Lorenzo, is hitting on something that's very important. I don't know. There's been a hullabaloo about this some Tau railgun, and this Tau railgun can pierce through all of the armor and all of the shields that any mankind can conjure up and put in defense. It can just pierce through anything. Well, to me that sounds like Xenos propaganda. I haven't seen one of these fabled rail guns from this tiny empire on the fringes of the Milky Way galaxy, and I suspect that this is a propaganda campaign to strike fear into the hearts of loyal imperial citizens. So I want to thank Lorenzo for bringing this up and giving us the opportunity. But maybe, and you know what Lorenzo's talking about, that are tithe, that are tax dollars, might be going towards substandard tanks. That may be the reason why suddenly we're getting rumors of this Tau superweapon, is we have government officials skimming off the top, enriching themselves, government officials who might or might not be associated with the Governor Greg ruling enclave. That might be why what's happening. So I think Lorenzo's giving us some good food for thought there. That it is something that we ought to be mindful of, and because we want better tanks. We want the most invincible tanks. We want untouchable weapons that crush the enemies of mankind, and we don't want all of this. We don't want all of this government gunk, this government corruption to sap away the strength of our fighting men and women in the Astra Militarum, and of course the brave men of the Adeptus Astartes and brave women of the Adeptus Sororitas, and all the different the Titan legions and the Imperial Navy, everyone who's Assassinorum, all the different factions, the different groups, the Mechanicus, everyone who's standing up against the forces of ruin that just hate mankind. All right, so we have Chapter Master Calenus Ventuli. An honor, as always, to hear from one of our Lord Space Marines. Go ahead, Chapter Master.
Honestly, it is good to see that people have power over their planet. Perhaps more worlds will adopt this form of government.
With all due respect, Chapter Master, I understand the appeal. Why democracy sounds like a wonderful idea. And the truth is, I think a wise man once said that democracy means a government by the people, of the people, for the people, by the people. But the people are stupid. That's my problem. Is I don't think we have an educated enough population to self-govern. Now, obviously, I think if we had a democracy that was made up of my viewers, you are all incredibly intelligent, capable people who honestly should be the type of folks calling the shots, making a democracy. So, if it was a democracy amongst, like our Lord Chapter Master here, if he was involved and my viewers were involved and we made a democracy, I think we'd have enough sense to elect someone that knows what they're doing. But for the Emperor's sake, they elected an Ogren. that is evidence of itself that they don't know what they're doing. All right, we got a couple of people bringing up the third party candidates and also what was it? The vice governor was a canid, Vice Governor Goodboy, who apparently is the next in line. If you didn't believe that Greg was just kind of a cardboard cutout for the people behind him, I think you can look at the advent of Canid Goodboy, vice governor. That's pretty obvious what they have in mind. That you've gone from having an ogre who can't think to having a Canid who can't talk. Come on. This is all. Everyone can see this. It's very plain to see. But I want to get to we're getting some questions about the third party candidates. I see some mention of Snodius and Timmy the Tech Priest by, unsurprisingly, Timmy the Tech Priest. You got him. Hey Pat, you got him. You got it traced. You want to report it? Yeah. I think there's a reward. Yeah, the Arbites have been asking about it. He's been asking all this entire time. Yeah, plus he's trying to compete with us for ratings. Yeah, he has his own Vox. He has his own Voxcast. Yeah, shut him down. Yeah, give him a call. All right, good. All right, so let's get in on this because I think a lot of what was the most interesting was the write-in candidates. But let's go to the Many Arms Party because that was kind of the big surprise. They got 23% of the vote when they had not really campaigned. You didn't see any advertising, not in the overworld, but I think you saw a lot of it among kind of the lowlives in the Under-hive. Excuse me. But if you look at the almost all of their votes come from the Under-hive, and this is what is probably one of the most dangerous notions in democracy, which is populism, which is just the aforementioned stupid people who are participating in this democracy. It just ends up being mob rule, and that's what I think the Many Arms Party represents, and what is a very frightening notion. Because I think if you're handing the keys of government to the bottom rung of people, Under-hive scum, then then everything's just going to become like the Under-hive. The Under-hive is just going to bring all its problems to the surface. That's what we're talking about here. That's That's the dangerous thing. Plus, the Nota Tyranid, they're talking about blasphemy. They're talking about altering. This is I think tied in with the war on Sanguinala, and I do hope everyone had a joyous and yet solemn Sanguinala, honoring, of course, the sacrifice of the noble son of the Emperor Sanguinius. So we'll take a little bit of it will take a little bit of time to be solemn and silence on that. All right, so that is the sort of thing that Nota Tyranid and their populace, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to. It's their war on Sanguinala. That's what the populace are about. Now, I haven't paid super close attention to everything about Nota Tyranid. They kind of came out of nowhere, the Many Arms Party. But I think you're talking about some wild ideas and just populist nonsense. All right. So that was interesting. I think what we also can talk about are the write-in candidates. There were a lot of them, and they ended up garnering, at least as a whole, they got nearly as many votes as Ordinate Musalas. We'll talk about him from the top. We had essentially what was a block-by-block campaign by John Mr. Bones Bonesley. And there were rumors that he wasn't a human being at all. He was, in fact, a skeleton with a flaming head. The head is on fire. Can't confirm that, but it was... I had heard his campaign message. He actually got together enough wealth to put together some campaign ads, so that was kind of interesting. We also had the vote-rigging party. If you want to know what the problem with democracy, it's also... It is a cover of legitimacy over people who are going to steal it anyway. At least they're obvious. At least they're honest about their dishonesty. It kind of defeats the point to have a vote-rigging party if you're admitting that you're rigging the vote. Doesn't really make any sense to me. Let's see. What else we got? We got Scratch Zilzich. Zilzich Tale of the Fluffgood Party Clan. Offering Warp Stone to everyone. This is the Scratch Zilzich Tale is essentially just like the if we're gonna go back to Sanguinala, Scratch Zilzich Tale is essentially just framing themselves as the Sanguinor, flying through the Imperium, giving presents to all the citizens of the Imperium, just making wild promises that there's no way they could actually stand up for. They can't actually back this up. All right, we got Lorenzo coming back on the line, breaking up my ramble a little bit. All right, go ahead, Lorenzo. Let's see what you have to say. Yeah, I want to know, where was Governor Greg when the Westfold fell? The Many Arms Party has always been there for Under-hive scum like my cousin Vinny. Well, Lorenzo, you've been a contributor to this Voxcast for some time. So maybe I might have, and the fact that you're giving this Voxcast money, might sway me a little bit to see that the Many Armed Party might not be as wild and out of there. I was sort of characterizing them as a bunch of unwashed poor, but clearly they are no-nonsense, intelligent, hardworking, blue-collar types like you and me. So I'll just completely change my opinion based on money that I've just been given. All right, Miles O'Halloran, you're on now as well. Yeah, I just wanted to say, Adrian, one of the write-in candidates was Korn. Now, this was Miles, again, Miles being on the lookout for Xenos interference, Miles on the lookout for the interference of the ruinous powers. And the fact that this is, again, democracy. If the planet democratically decides it's going to be horribly corrupted, and from what I heard, there was an incident. There was an incident where an actual demon appeared on polling day. So if you want to know what democracy is all about, it's about demons appearing in the middle of town. I don't need any further context for that. I don't need, democracy equals demonic incursion as far as I'm concerned. All right, we got Hawkins coming in with a donation as well. Go ahead, Hawkins. Hawkins, I think, is one of the write-in candidates, so it's interesting to hear your opinion coming here on the show. Go ahead, Hawkins. Hey, Hawkins from the Scrap Hawk Gang political party. Would like to thank you for the mugs and apologizing trying to aggressively add you to our gang. Hawkins, As long as you're happy with the Never Fail Bunker mugs, the official licensed Adrian Pius Never Fail Bunker mugs, and you don't come barging into my studio ever again. Pat, we've increased security, right? For the 10th time now? Yeah. Everyone's gunning for old Adrian Pius. Everyone wants a piece of old Adrian Pius. So yeah, if you're not coming back, we'll be interested to have you, give your opinion on what's going on as sort of one of these minor parties that have had an impact. And as I understand, these different smaller parties are now kind of forming hive gangs and still being an influence in local elections. So that's been interesting. And it was also interesting because right after Scratch Zilzich Tail of the Fluffgood Party, Hawkins of the Hive Gang Scrapper Party was actually next on my list. So it was good that you popped in and made a good segue for this. All right, so Miles O'Halloran coming back in. Appreciate the donation. Go ahead, Pat, put him on. Yeah, during that Chaos Incursion, the voter riot banded together like temporary brothers to kill that demon together, and were successful. Well, see, I think that's kind of the dream of democracy, that you have this vigorous debate of ideas, and when outside threats approach, that the different squabbling groups are able to set aside their differences and deal with a greater outside threat. And I think that's sort of what you want. But is that going to happen every time? Is every single time there is a catastrophe, are people going to be able to set aside their political differences and not try to make political hay out of that situation? We got someone in chat mentioning that Nota Tyranid was running for head of school board. I think once we've sort of elected for governor, I think people tend to overlook these local elections, but that's where a lot of the big change happens. And I think that'll be something if we have other people running for school board, because right now the only one I've heard of is Nota Tyranid. And of course they're going to be all about, what's going to happen. They're going to be altering the school curriculum to include the Emperor of Many Arms. They're going to change the way the Emperor looks, and they're going to teach that regardless of your religious beliefs regarding the Emperor. That's what they're going to be teaching your children. They're going to be altering. They're going to be teaching heresy, as far as I can. Oh, so we got an official that Timmy the Tech Priest is running for school. We'll get to you, Timmy. We will get to you. You're last on my list. You're last on my list. Another important development, it's been interesting, has been the Steel Legion refugees that have been trapped on Corumpere 5, being represented by Steel Legion Kane. That has been an interesting dynamic to have these guardsmen able to vote and be a political force in themselves, but they also seem to sort of be partaking in the politics similar to the way the gangs have been. All right, we've got Marked Ashamed coming in hot on the Vox waves with a big donation. Always appreciating having you here, Marked Ashamed. Go on ahead. Yeah, just wanted to let you know, the Adeptus Mechanicus claims to have developed a new vaccine for Nurgle's cough of 19. However, the Administratum is considering mandating the vaccine to all citizens. Is that safe, or would it possibly cause another great rift? Look, Marked Ashamed, when it comes to sensitive subjects like developing cures for ailments to shield oneself against the corrupting touch of the ruinous powers. I think it comes down to the situation that the individual finds themselves in. Because quite frankly, if you are in one of my never fail bunkers, one of the guarantees is that you're not going to get any disease in there because you have your own recycling and air filtration system. So what I would prefer everyone mandate, instead of all of this wealth being funneled to the developers of this wonderful vaccine, what you could do is purchase Adrian Pius never fail bunkers. We'll provide you with enough air, food, water, filtration systems to last you for 6 months. And once you've done that, hopefully this whole Nurgle's cough has all blown over. Because it can't possibly last more than 6 months. I mean, we're talking about years? 1 year? 2 years? 3 years? Come on now. Diseases don't last that long. Go ahead, lock yourself in a never-fail bunker. It will not fail you. You can emerge 6 months later, and the whole thing will probably have blown over. Very, very simple. All right. So, all right. I was gonna hold off, but it seems we're getting a lot of chatter. We're gonna get to Timmy the Tech Priest, but first let's talk Snodius the Uncrumpable. Thanks again to Mark Ashamed also for bringing up that important issue. Snodius was actually the figure among the various small write-in candidacies. He won. If it was just a contest between the write-in candidates, Snodius the Uncrumpable won. Now, this is, again, let's talk about democracy. How well does democracy work? Snodius doesn't exist. Snodius isn't a candidate. Does anyone know where Snodius is? Who's Snodius? Apparently, somebody wrote him in. If he'd gotten enough votes, we would have gotten someone who, as far as I know, is not on this planet. Right? Someone's saying Snodius is dead. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Did he ever exist? Who's Snodius? Who is Snodius? No mention that Snodius does not have a gang. Snodius is not running for school board. Snodius doesn't exist, but people voted for Snodius. Did somebody get hit on the head and just had this name pop into their skull? And everyone just liked the name. They just voted for him. Definitely one of the most odd things. I would say of the big surprises. I would say you have the failure of Governor of the failure of Ordinate Musalis. The surprising turnout of the Many Arms Party. And I'd say there's a small surprise in the plethora of write-in candidates. But I would say the Snodius the Uncrumpable is up there as far as just like nonsense, just things that democracy produces, just out of the blue. Anyway, so all right, so I don't think there's much else to say about Snodius the Uncrumpable aside from he's a guy that doesn't exist that everyone voted for. All right, so let me briefly talk about. We also had what I thought was going to be the most successful write-in candidate, which was Commissar Frederick. I don't know if anybody. He was a write-in candidate. He seemed to be pretty solid. Like commissars are trained in all different sorts of things to be able to be essentially they're trained heroes of the Imperium. So I'm a little surprised that he got nothing, or not much. There is also, I don't know. I think this reveals a very serious problem. Was the Gene Stealer Party was also writing candidate. Fortunately, as far as I could tell, they only got one vote. But I think that it exists, that they tried something like this is very disturbing. But fortunately, the populists among the Many Arms Party vastly dwarfed the Gene Stealer Party, so I think that the Under-hive is fairly secure. We've got Miles O'Halloran coming back with his own insight. Go ahead, Miles. Adrian, maybe Snodius is a warp warning. I'm not following you. A warp warning, maybe like some sort of omen of impending doom or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest with you, Miles. I'm not a prophet. Some may view the wisdom that I hand down from my Voxcasts as prophetic. That I speak the truth the way nobody else can. But I am not going to go around trying to predict the future or determining where people got Snodius in their heads or Snonicus or whatever he's called. So yeah, those are that, and then we have, this is probably the most troubling element is Timmy the Tech Priest, because as far as I can tell. Timmy the Tech Priest has a gang consisting of himself. He started his own Voxcasts. He's made several violent attacks against Arbites and just general citizens of Quorum Perry 5. And as far as I know, he keeps getting in and out of incarceration. All right, here we are. Got Natalie coming in with some questions. Go ahead, Natalie. Have you thought of running yourself? I imagine you would be unmatched. You would have unmatched ratings if listening was mandatory. See, Natalie is the this is what I'm talking about. If my listeners were the ones in charge of a democracy. Then I'd be all on board, because clearly you all have a higher level of intelligence. You are the cream of the imperial crop, coming up with ideas like this. Now, if I were to try to run, a couple different things would have to happen. I would need to change my planet of residence. Got to look at all the different laws and form an election exploratory committee, and it's a little while before we have the next gubernatorial election. And I probably could give an answer yes or no right now, but you know what also gets me good ratings? Teasing the fact that I may or may not run for governor. Because I know how everything works. I'm not just up here criticizing people in an empty way. I have solutions. Simple solutions. Simple solutions to complex problems. And I would get things done if I was governor. I would get things done, and I wouldn't be a slack-jawed ogre struggling to communicate to the people his vision, or rather the vision of his handlers. That's what Governor Greg is all about. But who's all running for? Hawkins, I think, is around, and I think it's I think the big competition is for school board, because I think we have Timmy the tech priest, we have Nona Tyranid, and Hawkins. I thought I heard that you were running as well. It'll probably be a thing to figure out. All right, we've got Mad Beast Yeti coming in hot. Go ahead, Pat. Put him on.
Sir, what are your thoughts on Mr. Nutta Tyrannid proposed revamp for the school curriculum, promising high literacy rates for children, requiring all class photos of the Emperor to have multiple arms?
I talked a bit about this, Mad Beast Yeti, and honestly, it's upsetting. It is upsetting to hear that these kind of modern ideas, this defacement of the Emperor, is going to be taught in our schools. And you know, are we gonna take the, because they're talking about head of the school board down in the Under-hive. You think, how many Under-hive children is this actually gonna make literate? Do we really need literate Under-hive children? What are they gonna do? They'll be able to read. And if they're able to read, they'll be able to read bad ideas. And once they get bad ideas in their heads, they're gonna start trouble. What is it? Wait. Blessed is the mind that is too small to doubt. And I think, you know, I think you all are intelligent enough, but I think trying to give the poorest of the poor an education, they're going to start getting ideas. They're going to start thinking they know best of how to take care of themselves. They're going to do things. They're going to demand things. They're going to get upset. No, keep them ignorant. They don't need to know things. They just don't need to know things. And it's a waste of money, honestly. That's money that isn't going to Adrian Pius, Never Fail Bunkers. If you, the most trusted name in bunkers is Adrian Pius, because Never Fail Bunkers never fail. If you buy a Never Fail bunker, it is guaranteed to provide you with 6 months of protection. Are you dealing with a Xenos invasion? Some sort of incursion by the ruinous powers? The Never Fail bunkers will keep you safe, making it impossible for anyone to penetrate your bunker, barring extreme explosives or tower railguns or numerous things that can pierce through the bunkers. But it will keep you safe for an entire 6 months with enough supplies to keep you and your family safe. Never Fail bunkers. They never fail, except when they do. All right, you got Miles O'Halloran coming back in. Go ahead, Miles.
Are we not going to talk about the massive riot that happened during Election Day? It got so bad that the rioter gained a tank and rockets.
Look, I think that is where democracy leads. Because you have a lot of, the way it goes is you have to vote. You vote, and if you don't get your way, you riot. And what was the final tally? It was like, of the 100 billion people that live in Corumpere 5 that are eligible to vote, we had 400 votes. And for first time democracy, that's pretty impressive. But you had more people rioting than you had people voting. What kind of sense does that make? Yeah, I think that this democracy thing is a danger to stability. Don't put the reins of government in the hands of stupid people. Don't do it. It leads to riots. It leads to unrest. It leads to dissatisfaction. It leads to things that I don't like and things that my listeners don't like. So I think if you're when you see people rioting and they don't agree with you, they're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. They are the ones who are ruining everything. They're trying to destroy the Imperium. They're trying to bring mankind low. But if it's, if it's a group that I agree with, then they are freedom fighters. Well, because my ideas are right. And sometimes you have to fight for ideas. You have to fight for what's right. You can't let the evil people and evil Xenos and evil beings of this galaxy push you around. You got to fight for it. So that's really what I want to get across. It's when riots are in the name of something that I like, it's heroes. Big time heroes. When they're against what I like, that's a bunch of anarchists and violent weirdos and criminals and blasphemers and heretics. I got a suggestion that the 400 votes were all the people who got in before the rioting blocked off the voting locations. Yeah, I would that makes sense to me. Rioting as a byproduct of democracy, and of course it also prevents democracy from being able to happen. Indeed, well said. As I have pointed out, I have the most intelligent listeners who are capable of having some of the most complex and nuanced and savvy opinions on the state of the galaxy. And they're not about to be suckered in by anyone sweet-talking them or promising them, making ridiculous promises. And that being said, I want everyone to remember that this Voxcast is sponsored by the Adrian Pius Bubbleizer, where you can take your favorite drinks and carbonize them. You can add carbonation to any one of your drinks and make them bubbly. With a very low down payment, you too can purchase the Adrian Pius Bubbleizer, and with that money, you are supporting mankind, because of course, I am the voice of truth. Mankind thrives on truth, which means you have to buy my products, including Never Fail Bunkers and the Adrian Pius Bubbleizer. All right, Miles O'Halloran coming back in with another donation. Appreciate you and your thoughts. As always, Miles, go ahead. Yeah, there were even orcs in the riot. Yeah, and this is another thing. We're trying to have democracy on a planet that isn't secure. We're in a planet that has orcish influences. Orcish influences corrupting the so-called purity of the democratic process. Right? No. Now we got trouble brewing in the Vox waves. Pat's telling me that who's calling me someone's calling me a heretic. If the Adrian Pius Bubbleizer is you're calling that heresy, I think you're a heretic. Because truth, justice, and the Imperium way it really comes from carbonation. It comes from bubbly drinks. If you can't have bubbly drinks, and if you can't have a box that has 6 months worth of food and water in it, can you really say you're really part of the Imperium? All right, we have Lord Chapter Master Calanus Vintuli coming back.
I must inform everyone in this Voxcast that all orders of the Inquisition have instructed me to take 3 companies of Lamenters to Corumpere 5 for internal security. Wish us luck.
Much appreciated, Chapter Master. Of course, Lamenter's always a fan favorite, the chapter of the people. All right, we got a lot of donations coming in. Let's get Hawkins in here. Hawkins, you're breaking up. Go ahead and Pat, you got him? All right, go ahead and put him through. I'll keep him on as long as you can. Adrian, Pius, there's zombies in the Under-hive now. Is that it? You lost the feed. All right, we have reports now from Hawkins, a notable gang leader, that they're talking about zombies in the Under-hive. How many of those zombies voted? How many of those zombies voted? Something to think about. All right, we got Nick Fulton on the line. Come on. Thank you for the donation. Nick, let's hear what you have to say. Is it many arms like weapons or limbs? Oh, I think we lost Nick. Nick, you there? Nick? Nick? All right, we lost another one. We lost Hawkins. We lost Nick. We're losing everybody here. Now, hopefully they'll be all right. And then, you know what? What might have happened is that they have entrusted their lives to Never Fail bunkers, because once you are in a Never Fail bunker, no Vox transmission will be able to reach you. The rockcrete and plasteel used in Never Fail bunkers is of the highest quality. Of course, purchased from the finest craftsmen in the Imperium to build Never Fail bunkers. Buy your own Never Fail bunkers, and just like Nick and Hawkins, you will be safe from any kind of incursion. But look, it seems like we've got. Look, we have just all manner of wild lawlessness in the wake of this election, and the question that should be on everyone's mind is, what is Governor Gregg doing about it? What is he doing about it? And the answer should be very obvious. He's not doing anything about it because he's an ogre. What are his handlers doing? How are the faceless bureaucrats? How are they handling all of these decisions? Maybe that's a question you ought to be asking yourselves. What are these these unelected political officials? What are they doing? Huh? Because Governor Gregg's not making the decisions. He's not making the calls. I'm telling you. I think you're very naive if you believe that Governor Gregg. You're extremely naive, or you might be an ogre if you believe that Governor Gregg is really making the decisions regarding the policy of Quorum Perry 5. What do we got, Pat? There seems to be a lot of shouting on the Vox waves. Let's see. We got. Seems to be the Steel Legionnaires are getting involved. Timmy, the Tech Priest, of course, is declare whatever he's saying, something about heresy. Don't put any stock in. Surprised the Arbites haven't caught up with him yet. He's calling this Vox station. So we should be able to track him. Otherwise, send them their location again. They should get there. All right. An important question. Can Nomanicus destroy a Never Fail bunker? Well, I'm going to be honest, I'm not certain of that. But you know what? I do believe that Nomanicus owns a Never Fail bunker. He's taken it. It's where he, on his many days of being a pro gamer, winning all of his games, being on incredible kill streaks, he has set up his never-fail bunker as the ultimate super rad game room, where he sits in his own very elaborate custom gamer chair and just ruins all of the other scrubs that he plays against. That's what and you know what? If it's good enough for Nomanicus, isn't it good enough for everyone in the Imperium? Because if you do the things Nomanicus does, you will be just that much closer to being just a little bit as cool as Nomanicus is. He's just so cool. Miles O'Halloran, speaking of cool people, got some more donations coming in. Hey, Adrian, do you think the Ratling candidate was the previous governor in disguise? Oh, you're talking about Ordinate Musalis, right? You know, big hat, big mustache. Well, I don't think... I've heard this rumor before, and honestly, it doesn't make any sense. If you look, because you're talking about the former governor Sumalis. Musalis and Sumalis have completely different names. And Sumalis didn't have a big hat, and he didn't have a mustache. I don't understand how anyone... It's pretty obvious that Ordinate Musalis is a completely different person, who may or may not. You know what? He didn't win, and I'm almost certain that it was because he didn't own a never fail bunker. All right, Hawkins. Sorry to keep you. Go ahead and play Hawkins. We got another message from Hawkins. Play it. I don't care if it's not clear. We'll get what we could get. Someone help! They have zombie orcs now. Terry, no! Okay, all right. See, this is the state of the Under-hive. This is pretty typical, I understand, of when school board elections happen. This is a pretty typical scene. Whenever something like this happens, this is a pretty typical scenario in a democracy, which I think is more evidence. We've got another Nomanicus question. Can Nomanicus do something about the new Tau railgun? I think Nomanicus can do anything. If Nomanicus can headshot 10 straight guys in his sick Battle Quest Field 9, then I think he can probably single-handedly make a Tau railgun explode with just, his mind or something. Because that's the kind of cool guy he is. That's definitely the kind of cool guy he is. Let it never be said that I don't think that Nomanicus isn't cool, because he's about as cool as we can get. You know what? I could probably just have an entire episode where all we do is talk about how cool Nomanicus is. Even Timmy the Tech Priest. Timmy, who I disagree with on just about everything. Even this hardened criminal knows that can't deny the coolness of Nomanicus. He's just really, really rad. All right, Steel Legion Kane, always happy to have you. Go ahead. Let's see what you have to say.
Pius, this is Commander Kane of Steel Legion. My ships are being invaded by demons. Need more men. Ship is blowing up at time and... I wasn't supposed to say that part.
It does indeed sound like the ship is blowing up in the background there. Hopefully that is... I didn't realize Steel Legion Kane was on his ship. Maybe they were leaving after the election. But we're gonna... Hopefully Nomanicus will be able to see them. Whenever guardsmen are in dire straits, Nomanicus usually shows up to rescue Usually a handful of the hottest female guardswomen. So bad luck on you, Steel Legion Kane. That's an interesting thing. So I've had it suggested that I ought to run for governor, but what about Nomanicus? Why not vote for Nomanicus? Is there any? I mean, there's nothing Nomanicus can't do, and anything he does, which it might on the surface seem like it doesn't make any sense, and it's the actions of a petty, extremely immature, selfish person, but everything always works out so well for him. So clearly, it's just because he's so cool. All right, Miles O'Halloran, coming back, helping keep the lights on indeed. Thanks again, Miles O'Halloran. Go ahead. Yeah, Adrian, I've been having weird dreams about a snot-grot hybrid called Snodius. Perhaps that's where the warp warning is leading us. Snodius. Listen, Miles, I'm not an inquisitor, and I'm not an Arbites, but but you are giving me an awful lot of money, so maybe don't admit that you're having weird visions of Xenos. That's the sort of thing to get you on a nice trip on a black ship going somewhere. It's a good question. Would Nomanicus give up his precious gaming time to govern? He does have amazing hair. I wouldn't say he has too much gobflapping. That sounds like Xenos talk to me. All right, we got Lord Edward Rylands, noted supporter of Ordinate Musalis. It's good to hear from you. Let's see what we have to say. Go ahead, Pat, put him on.
Yes, our planet is by far the most important in the subsector. Yet, we are named Corumpere 5. We should be named Corumpere V, like the letter instead. This is the most important issue. This is the most important issue no longer outlet is reporting on.
Well, I think we'll discuss that in a second, Lord Rylands. First, let's get Nick Fulton on here. I think he wants to weigh in on the Nomanicus question. We'll loop back to the nobleman. Yeah, Nomanicus needs to become a High Lord of Terra and a few Stars of Terra. He needs both of those things. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. I think everything ought to be just run by Nomanicus. I don't think that's a question. But getting back to the Corumpere 5 or the Corumpere V question, I think this is now, because someone said it, and this is definitely not just a distraction, and I'm not just stating this to kind of capitalize on a hot trend, but I think we need to really come down firmly on whether Corumpere 5 is called Corumpere V. I mean, there's a V in the name. Why not? Why aren't we saying Corumpere V? So I want to thank Lord Rylands. This has now become #1 discussion topic. We don't need to focus on the riots in the Under-hive, the orcs, the mysterious number of depictions of the Emperor with many different arms and not exactly human features. That sort of weird and bald and has that weird ridge thing going along the top of his head. I think we just need to focus on this naming thing, because you shouldn't call things 5 when there's not a 5 in it. It's a V. Why isn't it not called Corumpere V? It's because people are stupid. Timmy the Tech Priest is asserting that Nomanicus is the reincarnation of the Omniscience. I'm not gonna get into Mechanicus business. That's That's your business if you're still technically part of the Mechanicus. I don't know. They still have outlaws as part of the Mechanicus. I don't know what they do. I'm not gonna stick my nose in that. All right, well, maybe we can make a political video game for Nomanicus so he can be governor. What if running a was ported into Nomanicus's gaming, right? Right. I think if we could somehow if we could work the government of 100 billion people and turn it over to Nomanicus so we could do it without interrupting his gaming time. Oh, he's also a really sick streamer. So if you guys want to go check out him at Nomanicus Rocks 5 Ever, go ahead and give him a follow. Maybe lend him some subs, and definitely everyone should not make fun of him when he misses a kill, because clearly the game's glitching. Clearly he has lag. He doesn't make mistakes. He's awesome. He's super rad. So any time where it looks like he doesn't win, that's just the haters, like, building lag machines, or like targeting his IP address, or Nomanicus doesn't lose. He just doesn't. Oh yeah, maybe that could be something that Timmy the Tech Priest could do that's useful. Can you get to work on that video game for Nomanicus? Oh yeah, it's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if Nomanicus has a Discord server. There'd probably be an easy link to it, which should be easily found in some sort of YouTube channel that is dedicated to Nomanicus. Look, this is getting a little. Not sure how to talk about this, but you could probably go find it. In 1 second. There might be, something appearing in the Vox feed that might direct you to that. But I think I'm confusing myself in exactly what I'm talking about. If that's not entirely clear. All right. So I think we've gone over the political situation fairly clearly of my objections to Governor Gregg, and the fact that this democratic process has been a complete lack of Nomanicus. I think that's one of the main things that I'm concerned about. But Nomanicus has lots of really cool, important stuff to do, like winning, being good at gaming, and single-handedly defeating Xenos and heretic fleets on his own with his brain and his really, really cool swords. But it does also seem that there is a bit of a crisis going on. We have a kerfuffle going on in the Under-hive. You can kind of see that in the Vox feed. Pat's talking about it. There definitely seems to be a lot of shouting, a lot of concern. We'll keep an eye out. We'll see how that turns out, and we can comment on that as things occur. But I just want to remind everyone that as catastrophes like this happen, as there's civil unrest, and as difficulties arise on all sides, we really need to work together to face these challenges. And how better to face these challenges than with the Adrian Pius never-fail bunker system. It's not just a bunker, it is a bunker system, with enough room for you and your family, and enough food and water to last you a good 6 months to weather whatever storm you might be facing. Because if you have a never-fail bunker, you will never fail, much like Nomanicus never fails in his gaming. So I think we're approaching the end of this Voxcast, but I want to give others a chance to kind of weigh in on the political situation of Quorum Perry 5. And definitely, if I haven't made it clear, I am aware of the supposed and nefarious Tau railgun. That it's this super weapon that can destroy Imperial Knights and Titans and this, that, and the other thing. I still think this is I can't believe it. I'm going to be honest. I can't believe it. I think this is just Xenos propaganda. That no such weapon exists, and I think anyone who suggests that a weapon like that can exist in the hands of Xenos is quite frankly a heretic. And as always, even if something did like that exist, there's nothing that a bayonet charge can't accomplish. Right? And no, you can't vote for the railgun. No, the railgun is not running for school board. Someone deal with that heretic. Two heretics. We got two heretics trying to vote for railguns. All right, we've been infiltrated by heretics. I expect all of my loyal listeners to find these different people and hunt them down and eliminate them with all due prejudice. I'll wait on that while you're getting that done for me. That is true. Eric makes a good point, because if you're actually afraid of the Xenos and some sort of magic superweapon, what you can trust to keep you and your family safe are never-fail bunkers. There's no way that a Xenos weapon is going to be able to pierce all the way through the ground, through Rockcrete, and harm you or your family inside. It's simply not possible. So trust never-fail bunkers. They'll never fail you. And they're bunkers. Never-fail bunkers. The Adrian Pius promise. We got Edward Rylands, Lord Edward Rylands, coming in. Go ahead and share your thoughts.
Yes, democracy only benefits the Xeno-loving elites. We truly need to get back to traditional imperial governance, which the elites will definitely hate.
So I'm seeing some of the wisdom of what you're talking about, because I'm not on board with this whole democracy thing. And as much as I don't think Musalis was an ideal candidate, I think he is very flawed and made a number of crucial mistakes. I would have rather seen him win than I would have held my nose and voted for him instead of any of the nonsense that we have with the Many Arms Party or with Governor Gregg. Nonsense. Oh, looks like we have Hawkins. Go ahead, Hawkins.
I'm alive, and now I choose to run for school board.
All right, there we have it. We have a Adrian Pius first, Hawkins of the Hive Scrapper gang, officially announcing his candidate, choosing this Voxcast to announce his candidacy for school board. We'll continue to follow the events involving the school board. Well, probably the polls will be open for that shortly, and we can expect a pretty good compared to the governor election. We're probably going to have a similarly high turnout of maybe 6, if not 7 people turning out to vote in that. So that'll be highly contested. All right, I appreciate everyone who's been donating so far today. And when I think we do have a lot of interesting things coming up with the school board elections. But I think we're going to let things lay there for the moment. As much as the chatter is getting rather interesting, I think I've kind of said my piece on the current situation, and I'll comment on things as things continue to develop in Quorum Perry 5, and we'll see who actually gets the latest coveted position on school board. So appreciate all of you coming to listen to Adrian Pius. Reminder to make sure that you buy Adrian Pius Never Fail Bunkers, as well as the Adrian Pius Bubbleizer system that can carbonate your beverages and make them bubbly no matter what sort of situation that you're in. And we'll see about if Quorum Perry 5 does indeed officially become Quorum Perry V. We'll see if Lord Ryland's campaign comes to fruition. All right. So, I'm going to give you all the old sign-off. This has been Adrian Pius, voice of the Imperium, telling you the truth as it is, telling you the truth whether the elites like it or not, making sure that everyone knows what they're supposed to think, how they're supposed to think, and what the news of the day really is. I might not be a journalist. I might not have boots on the ground. I might not have done any research on any of the things that I opine on, but you know what I have? I have a brain, and I have guts, and I have intuition, and that's what I bring every single Voxcast. I bring that to every single Voxcast. So, I'm going to wish you all the very best. Hopefully you all have had an excellent Sanguinala, that the new year is going to treat you well, and hopefully this Nurgle cough 19 nonsense will be dealt with. Still recommend that you make use of the Adrian Pius Never Fail Bunkers for any epidemic preventing measures that you might want to take. All right. So here we are signing off. Farewell, good luck, best wishes, and let's hang together and really guide the Imperium back to the glory that it once had before all of these Imperial truthers got their mitts on it. All right. Good night, everybody. And Adrian Pius is out.